to go into a gig, and if you pay to go into a gig, that means you like that band. And if you like that band, everybody else who has paid likes that band as well. And really, it doesn't matter how you dress. That's the one thing you all have in common, that you like the person or the band who's playing the music.
And so, apart from the big names, obviously, that played there, which I'm sure most people know about anyway, thinking about the local talent, you know, the local bands that got to cut their teeth, supporting these bigger bands. Can you tell us a bit about those homegrown musicians? Because not just bands, there's like independent, performers as well. And what impact the independent, the local homegrown artists had on the Leeds music scene and surrounding areas?
So when I took over the Duchess, it was mainly local bands playing there, and there were a lot of bands who would fill pubs, you know, like the Roots, Little Chief, the Prowlers, you know, the Banes. There were loads of those local bands, and you always knew you'd get at least a couple of hundred in for those bands. And then it kind of mid-90s, all that started dropping off, and you know, so the Roots used to play twice a month and get 300 people in every other Monday, and then the crowd just dropped.
Yeah, do you think dance music and like the sort of rave culture that came about around that time, do you think that impacted on it?
Yeah, it changed it a bit. It was great actually, because you know, when I first started in there, it was just before the rave scene, and you know, I used to have to knock back some of the lead service crew and all that, and they're all pretty nasty, aggressive people. And then suddenly they got up to ecstasy, and they all wanted to shake your hand and do the drum thing and all that. And I thought, thank God for ecstasy. You know, it's like changed the whole demographic.
They were 1 minute fighting on the terraces, and the next minute just giving each other really big, genuine hugs.
The thing about the local bands was, I always had a policy when I booked a bigger band, unless they had a tour support, I always insisted on a local support playing with the main band. It was a policy of mine, you know, if anybody else wanted it from outside Leeds or the area, I'd say no, you know, and then I'd put a local band on. So and sometimes I've got that local band noticed. You know, I put Kaiser Chiefs, like the Stiff Little Fingers, when they were called Runston Parva, you know, that was, it's amazing when you think, I always think of Kaiser Chiefs as like a young band, but you know, it was about 25 years ago. So, I don't really know.
I think that kind of sort of links, kind of links to this idea of these small venues as cultural centres as well. You know, that it's where communities come together or communities are created. And I mean, just wondering what your thoughts are about how they're sort of outside the music venues, other independent venues in these cities, how they are influential or how they impact or how they're connected. So like, for example, like I used to work at BAD up by the train station, alternative clothes shop. You know, we sell records, we'd sell band shirts, we'd sell the tribal outfits for whatever tribe you belonged to. You know, you'd come, you'd get all that gear, we'd have a notice board when you were leaving, and you know, we want a bass player for a band, so people would join a band, and then from there they'd get a support slot at the Duchess, you know. So yeah, I'm just wondering about what your thoughts are about that and the impact that not just small music venues, but those other independent.
Well, even in the early days, when I started the F Club in 1977. And the F stood for F the Poly, because basically we were doing like a new wave club at the Poly and in the summer, and have the Police on there and the Slits and a lot more, but XTC. But when the students were coming back, we were thrown out of the common room where we had it. So basically, I called it the F-club, like, let's, and, you know, I even put a little flyer out saying, let's get the F out of it. But it was a really good scene there, and I wanted to keep everybody together, and I thought that, you know, I'm going to form a club, get all the names and addresses, give them a membership card and a discount at a local pub shop or whatever, and a 25 pence discount on the door as well. And, you know, I charged them £1 for it, which more or less covered the cost of printing the things, but it worked really well. And the thing is, we had such a great bunch of people, you know, they were all like misfits in a way, but they were like misfits together. Yeah. And I still see a lot of them, and they're great people, and a lot of them are doing really well.
And I think that's the thing with that tribal sort of, you know, finding your own tribe is that if you're a kid in a little village, you know, you feel really alienated because you think and feel and into certain things that nobody else is, but then you find your tribe, don't you, in these small
the only
places.
punk in the village.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you find, oh, there are other people like me.
Yeah, exactly.
And, yeah, it's really great how all that fit together, you know. I used to put a band called Cyanide, who were really nasty punk bands, you know, songs like Mac the Flash. And then when I took on the Duchess, I went to TSB and I found the manager there was the bass player in the Cyanide. And then he went on to train other band managers. And then
at the time, you were aware, you know, with all the promoting and when you were at the Duchess, were you aware of the value to the wider city, this idea of these, sorry, I'm getting my words mixed up now, but this idea of these venues being small cultural centres, which is, I think, because of all the pub closures that we're experiencing now, we're re-evaluating and reassessing their importance. They're not just places where people go and get pissed, you know, I swore, sorry. You know, they're places where they're really important for so many other reasons. And I'm just wondering, like, when you were promoting at the time at the Duchess, did you have an awareness that it was having a bigger effect outside, you know, to the wider city of Leeds, or?
No, the awareness I had was that there were places like the Duchess in most major cities, and the acts I used to book, you know, they'd play Leeds, and then they'd play King Tut's Wawa Hut, you know, in Scotland, and they'd maybe zoom across to play Eric's in Liverpool, and it was always, you know, Manchester had a few, you know, like the International in Manchester, and latterly the Hacienda. They always had a few like in live venues, you know, where the cool bands played, and you know, I was aware of that more. So I wasn't aware of, you know, turning into like a Catholic culture. I mean, that's more of a European thing, and just as soon as we get to look like Europe, we blob out of it. It's strange, isn't it?
Definitely
No,
not
I said I
politics.
wouldn't talk politics. It's not politics, that's fact.
Yeah. No, absolutely, yeah. So, what are your thoughts on new up-and-coming grassroots venues, the skills needed by new promoters? Because obviously now there's so many other factors involved in promoting now, social media, which, you know, likes doesn't get bums on seats, you know, but how they contribute to the wider cultural and social enrichment of a city. Should new promoters be mindful of this, or do you think that that's just something that comes with hindsight and you're just busy getting on with it at the time?
You know, when I took over the Duchess, and before that, I used to have to do the flyers by hand. You know, I had a little kit of Tipex and, you know, felt tip pens and whatever, and cut glue and Grit sticks, cut and paste.
Cut and paste,
and literally cut and paste. And there were no PCs. You know, I didn't get a PC till about 2000. Latterly, Tony Woolgar had an Apple Mac, and he started to do the Duchess in Detail magazine. And I said, well, if you're doing that, you may as well do my flyers because you've got to put the stuff in. So he started to do the flyers in the later days of the Duchess.
And those flyers are so synonymous with the Duchess, aren't they? You know, the sort of calendar.
Yeah, well, you know, everywhere I've done, I've always wanted to do it, even the Future Art Festivals I did all the artwork for it, and I even stamped the tickets with numbers and posted them out. I did everything until the last minute when I brought, you know, people in like David Bagley and having to do security and quite a lot of ethical members to build the stage. And the first one I did, Turn Up Queen's Hall, was supposed to be provided a stage, and they didn't have one. I said, where's the stage? It's on the Friday before the king. And they said, oh, you know, and they kind of forgotten to order it. It was on the contract. So I had to ring around loads of scaffolders, and I got the scaffolding up and loads of wood from Hughesway, which is fortunately just across the road. And we were building it overnight, painted it all black, and that's how that happened. It was like, you've got to be on top of these things all the time. And my mantra has always been, it doesn't matter whether you're going to make money or lose money, just make it happen, and then, you know, see how you handle it afterwards.
See how it pans out.
Yeah, I've done thousands of gigs, and very few of them I've had to cancel, you know. Because of my fault, it's normally because the band's ill or stuck in that way, but I really don't like having to cancel a band. And sometimes I'll put a band on and go, I'm going to lose money on this, but if I don't put them on, I'm going to lose faith, and keeping the faith and the goodwill is more important to me than the money, because I'm not a money person. Whenever I've had money, I put it into making something happen, and that's where I get my kicks. You know, I don't get my kicks from gold jewellery and sports cars. I get my kicks from, I made that happen. You know, that's it.
And that's really important, isn't it? That's where the sort of authentic culture comes from, you know, rather than it being a sort of cynical venture.
Yeah, well, now that I've got older, I look back and I think, yeah, I'm glad I took that route, because I never wanted to be a guy in the office, like filling in forms and pulling strings, you know. And that's why I stand on the door of my gigs, because, like, I know most of you here, you know, it's like I know everybody, you know, they turn up, and that's a good feeling, you know. When I go on Facebook, loads of names come from the past, and I love all of that.
So, like, thinking about like Leeds and venues in the future, where do you see Leeds in terms of the live music scene and the grassroots venues? Do you think, what factors do you think are important for them to not just survive but actually thrive in the way that the Duchess thrived for so long?
Well, I think any venue, and it doesn't matter what kind of venue it is as good as its promoter programmer. That's basically it. People don't realise that, you know, you can have a council hall and give somebody 30 grand a year to run it, and if their heart isn't in it,